What's going on, everyone? So, the San Antonio Spurs, per recent reports, are linked to Trey Murphy III of the New Orleans Pelicans. The Golden State Warriors are also linked to them. The report was actually about the Warriors, and then also was like, hey, another team that's really been trying to pursue Trey Murphy is also the San Antonio Spurs. And I love the idea of Trey Murphy. I have talked about Trey Murphy in the past. I think he's one of the few players that, if the Spurs were to go and make a trade, go and make a move, I think it's for a guy like Trey Murphy. He fits your youthful timeline. He's a guy that's already proven. And I mean, last season coming off of 21 points per game, legit 3-and-D, slot into either forward spot, but ideally kind of that 4 spot for you. And it just so happens that the one position that you could look at and go like, man, it'd be really great to have somebody is the 4 spot, right? Wemby, if he's holding down the 5, which I would like to see him play some 4 because he likes to take 9 threes a game. But Wemby, okay, as your 5, right? Let's say Carter Bryant evolves into your 3. You know, you have Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper. It's like, what do you need in that 4 spot? Trey Murphy is a guy that I think makes a ton of sense. Again, he's 25 years old, just turned 25 in June, right? He would not be 26 till after the San Antonio Spurs win the NBA championship, right? So talk about a guy, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists on 45% from the floor. Talk about a guy that's got real size, 6'8", 6'9", slotting at your 4, slotting at your 5, can rebound, make plays, be a primary scoring option at times, right? When he's really cooking and doing his thing. His numbers were a little skewed last year for several reasons. I mean, one, you look at the Pelicans, I mean, they were just ravaged by injuries. Trey Murphy didn't really have a point guard for most of the season and really had to create for himself more than he has ever since coming into the league. So keep that in mind. We'll go over the numbers here in a moment, but just something that I think is important, worth noting, to where playing on a team like the Spurs, you'd have De'Aaron Fox, you'd have Victor Wembanyama, you'd have Stephon Castle, you'd have Dylan Harper. I would even be okay with the Spurs overpaying for a guy like Trey Murphy, right? Not player-wise. I'm not doing here's Castle and Harper and all that. No, but I'm talking about if you have to give a couple extra picks or something like that to get it done over a Warriors team or something, say you have to give up, and I don't want to just, here, take everything, right? No, I don't. You don't want to get carried away, but I don't mind a little overpay. I'm somebody that believes if it's worth it, justified, it makes sense, there's nothing wrong with overpaying. So many people are so worried, oh, you can't overpay for that guy. Is that the guy that makes sense, that is only for, your best case scenario is drafting a guy anywhere close to Trey Murphy, right? If you can go get the guy and he's already proven and he fits the timeline and he's young enough to be now in the future, why wouldn't you? If he was 34, right, then I'd probably, I'd be I don't even know if I'd give up a first, but for him being 25 and just turning 25, he's a guy that has the long-term potential and upside, and somebody that's already locked up for multiple seasons. So it's not one of those things where it's oh man, we got to pay this guy, right? Can you turn, I mean, I wouldn't hate Devin Vassell and, a couple, 2 firsts or something like that. I know to some Spurs fans that might sound crazy, but Trey Murphy is better than Devin Vassell, for one. 2, he's, young, long-term. He also fits better in what you need, right? I also think he helps the defense. I just think he's more versatile than Devin Vassell. I also think Devin Vassell's kind of the odd man out, right? And I just don't think the Pelicans would probably get a better trade than that. Yeah, it might be a slight overpay with 2 firsts, but again, I'm okay with overpaying for a guy if it makes sense and it's justified. He makes sense and justified. He is one of the best just young wings that you can get, period, in the league. I mean, talk about youthful, can shoot 3 ball, can make plays for himself, can self-create, right? Can rebound. I mean, do everything for you. Defend the best player on the other team if needed, right? He's that guy, and he's the exact kind of guy you want alongside Victor Wembanyama and Devin Vassell, and then a Dylan Harper, and so on and so forth. I've talked about it. At some point, Spurs are going to have to consolidate here. At some point, the Spurs are going to have to make some decisions and make some tough calls. If you're going to consolidate, right, unless you're doing it for a Giannis or something like that, you want to do it for something that has long-term implications. You don't want to consolidate for just the now. Ideally, you want to consolidate for something that makes sense for the future, right? And I just think bringing in a Trey Murphy consolidates for now and the future. I think he makes you better, like clear-cut better. I think now you don't have as big of a log jam, right? And Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle and all that stuff. Like, yes, again, you might be overpaying in first and stuff, but at what point do you stop rebuilding? At what point do you start making moves to try to put you closer to contention? You don't have 5 years to build this out, right? You have De'Aaron Fox. You just gave him a max contract. You're handcuffed now for the next handful of years because you probably overpaid for him. And at some point, you want to start being an actual contender or being in the playoffs and stuff. And I think Trey Murphy gets you closer to that. I think he's a guy that helps on the defense side of things, helps on the offense side, gives you scoring, gives you everything this team needs. Everything this team needs. Right. And I just think he's worth, like, if you were ever going to overpay for somebody that's not a superstar, a guy like Trey Murphy is one of those guys that you can that makes sense, that is justifiable. And when he starts torching folks and the Spurs are really good this year, I don't think anyone's going to care that they gave up extra picks and traded Devin Vassell. I think people will be like, what a great trade, what a great move. And then all the reports and all the conversation will be like, wow, did the Spurs get a fleece? They did it again, right? Like that's what I think the conversation would be. But to get into the stats, right? Last season, 53 games played. Keep in mind, everybody was injured, but the Pelicans were just mess last year. 35 minutes per game, 16 field goal attempts, 15.8 if you want to be exact. Shot 45.4% from the field. He shot on 8.3 attempts, 36.1% from three-point range. Now, again, it's not bad, first off. 36% around league average. On high volume, 8.3 attempts. But he's a career 38.3% three-point shooter. You look, his rookie season on 3 attempts was 38.2%. Second year on 6.3 attempts was 40.1%. Third year on just under 8 attempts, 7.8 attempts, he was 38%. And then and then last year, 8.3 attempts. So each year he's actually had more and more attempts, and he's still around 38% from three-point range, but last year was 36.1%. But again, keep in mind, he had to do a lot himself. It wasn't just a lot of catch and shoot threes like it was in previous years. It was a lot of him having to self-create step backs, being the primary scoring option, so teams and defenses are locked into him. Like, all of that matters and should have contact. 2-point range on 7.8 attempts, shot 55.6% from the field, which is excellent. EFG of 54.8%. Free throw shooting, 88.7% on 4.3 attempts. So excellent free throw shooter. Rebounds, 5.1 rebounds, including 3.5 assists, 1.1 steals, almost a full block, 21.2 points per game. If you can get Trey Murphy, I don't really care what they trade to get Trey Murphy. I just think he's exactly what this team needs on both sides of the basketball. You know, I would personally, if you have to overpay for Trey Murphy, overpay for Trey Murphy. As long as you're not trading any of like your key foundation pieces, then fine. I mean, honestly, if it was me, I'd try to, like, could you do like a Jeremy Sohan? Because you're going to have to pay Jeremy Sohan. So do you maybe kind of like, hey, here's a Jeremy Sohan and, you know, like a pick or something like that, to where you kind of like, here's a young guy to replace him type thing. Because if it's Jeremy Sohan or it's Trey Murphy, I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? I don't care how much you like Jeremy Sohan. Trey Murphy's the better player, right? So anyways, always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. What do you think? Phil, what are your thoughts? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Kind of mixed in the middle? Either way, let me know. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.